Hey, everyone. It's Sandra L. I am a board certified, an independent board certified patient advocate. I am the author of this very important book, Personal Health Planner and Journal. I am a managing partner of MEDI-HELPZ LLC and the founder of the CHOMS MEDI-HELPZ Foundation. But more importantly, I'm a patient. And so I know that there are tons of patients out, along with me who, either suffer from chronic illnesses or are just being seen by, a doctor for whatever reason they're being seen by the doctor or their loved ones are. And so often they have questions that are not being answered. Thus, I come to you each Wednesday with an educational Wednesday tip because I know that there are things out there that we need to know that we don't know. I know that there are things that are not being told to us that should be told to us. And a disclaimer before I start with this evening's video is this is not a let's bash the physician, let's bash the medical team. That's not what this is. This is all patients need to receive equity, and not only equity, but equality in their health care. And if patients don't come together and don't start recognizing what they deserve and what they should get, then this movement towards DEI when it comes to healthcare is going to be here, but it's not going to last. Why? Because we, the patients, are not involved. We, as patients, we need to be at the same table with politicians, with scientists, with clinicians, you name it, everybody, including the patient, most importantly, the patient. We need to be sitting at that table. So often I hear, hey, Sandra, in the groups that I'm in and people I talk to, I hear, well, Sandra, we've been trying to get a hold of the patients and, we're having a hard time, especially when it comes down to those communities that I belong to, those communities which are color, because I am an African American woman. So we have the color. We have the fact that I'm a woman. So once again, I'm included in that. We have those that have chronic conditions. I am I do suffer from neuropathy, which is a chronic pain condition. We have our LGBTQ community. I am not a part of that community. I've been happily married for 30 years. However, I have friends and family that have told me the horror stories of them going to the doctor and being gaslighted, right? They're being gaslighted. And I'm like, but why? Just because you don't agree with a person's lifestyle does not give you the opportunity, nor does it give you the reason to disrespect them. We're all here on this earth, humans, and we all deserve access to optimal health care, which is one of my pet peeves because so often I hear, well, hey, you have access to health care. What else do you want? We don't want those of us that are in underserved and marginalized communities. And yes, there is a difference. Those of us that are in those two communities, right? We want optimal health care. We want the physician to treat us just like they would expect to be treated. Or if it was someone in their close family that needed medical assistance, they would want them to have that top-notch medical care. That's what we in the underserved and we in the marginalized communities want. We want that same level of care. So, the foundation is a national nonprofit foundation. The mission is to encourage patient education, which will lead to patient empowerment. And we also want that all in Cosmos word of patient engagement. That's what we want. And that's what we're looking for. And that's what we're hoping to receive. And guess what, patients? If we as a community come together, we got it. We got it. We got so many levels of patients that are in our community that it's ours. It is ours for the taking. We just have to do those things. We have to become educated patients. We have to become empowered patients. And we have to become engaged patients. That's what we need. And it's ours. It's now ours because I've actually started a Facebook group. And that Facebook group is designed to hear those voices. It's the Patient's Voice by Charms MEDI-HELPZ Foundation. And that, even that word charms, you might be like, what? What's she saying? That charms is important because those initials, that acronym, C is after my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, whose name was Christopher. H is Henrietta, who's my paternal grandmother. L was in both of their names and is also in my name, which is why I go by Sandra L. And then of course you have the M, which is my mother-in-law, and she just recently lost her life. But if it were not for her, that man that stands beside me, in front of me, behind me, and goes with me to each doctor's appointment, whether he's there or he's on the phone, and he's like, babe, what happened when you went? He's a real part of this, and without her, he wouldn't be here. And then that S is for Sandra. So that acronym stands for something. That foundation stands for something, and the Facebook group is going to get patients together so that they can tell their stories. So back on the subject for tonight, which is engagement. So with engagement, patient engagement, what happens? You talk to your doctor, or they say you're going for a medical, you have an MRI or X-ray or lab or whatever. You're talking to the people that are greeting you at that facility or in that office. You're talking to them and you're letting them know what you need. You're letting them know, I'm here for this. This is what I need. And say, for instance, you're sitting somewhere for 20, 30 minutes waiting for the doctor to see you. You approach the desk and say, can you please tell me why I'm still waiting? Let them explain it to you. If they get a hissy fit or they get a attitude or whatever may happen that's not sufficient to you, what you do is you report it. Now, I tell people all the time, speak up, speak loud, and speak often. And I have to explain, when I say speak loud, I am not saying go in the doctor's office and be just as boisterous and egotistical as you possibly can. That's the last thing you want to do as a patient. I've seen it happen where patients come into the office and they're upset or they're sitting and they're not sure why they're sitting. And rather than them approach the desk and say, why am I sitting? They'll just get upset and angry. And then that anger starts to boil over. That anger is not helpful for us as patients because it builds up a stress level. And we're already going through enough, so we don't need to stress. Right? And then it builds anxiety up and, the attitudes up of sometimes people in the office who are like, well, why do they keep coming up here? We ought to call them when we call them. And sometimes they'll even make you wait a little longer according to your attitude. But it's patient engagement is a responsibility of us as patients to say, hey, look, I need this, and why am I waiting? Explaining it, to you. I have a retina specialist that I go see. And on their sign, they say, we take the patients with the most critical diagnosis first. Like if there's an emergency, you're going to have to wait. So what that does is, I know I have to see a retina specialist, but what it does is it lets me know up front that, hey, you have this is something that you're going to have to do. So plan accordingly. If you know that you may have to be in this office for longer than an hour, plan accordingly, people. Plan accordingly. Another part of patient engagement is knowing who it is that you can go to and talk to. Maybe you have a question, or maybe you just really just been gaslighted. And by gaslighted, what I mean is maybe you are, as a patient, and this has happened to me before, are there to get an x-ray done. And you're waiting, but they see you waiting. And it really depends on where you are. Sometimes they'll make you wait because they don't like the color of your skin. Sometimes they make you wait because, oh, he heavy or she heavy. Sometimes they make you wait because they pick up on the fact that you are transgender, or you are that community. They shouldn't, but it happens. So knowing where to report those stories to and who to report those stories to is important. And you might be like, okay, well, you know what, that happened. Maybe it won't happen again. Like maybe it's the first time, right? Chances are that it's already happened to someone else. Chances are that that person that it already happened to did the same thing you did, which was just blew it off and say, nobody's listening, nobody's going to understand, nobody really cares, when they really do care. There are people out there that care. There are organizations out there that truly care and truly want to know what it is that the patients are experiencing when they go to the doctors. You'll hear a lot of times reports on the news, or you'll read a report in the paper, or you'll see something come across in your social media, and you're like, okay, all right, okay, whatever, right? But you have to remember, the media is only going to put out there a lot of times biased information. If you want the real information to go out there, you have to learn how to report it. How can you report it? There are a number of, once again, of organizations that will help you to report the stories you are experiencing. One of those organizations is actually Patients Rising. And you got it. It's Patients Rising for a reason, because they're encouraging patients to rise up and to speak their voice and to let everyone know what's going on, because we need to know. We need to know. We need to be made aware, of what's going on. Well, if you went to that doctor's office and you don't report it, and then somebody else goes into the doctor's office and they don't report it, what are we as patients going to do? We're not looking out for ourselves. We're not looking out for ourselves, and we're not looking out for the patient community. So it's always helpful and beneficial, not only to yourself, but to your family, and most importantly, to that patient community, that when you get treated, badly, or, you have a negative experience at the doctor's office, let someone know. I will be putting information out on a Facebook group page on ways that you can let people know. But whatever you do, don't sit in it, don't still in it, and don't let it stress you out to the point where you got one illness, now you got another illness that you're dealing with because you didn't want to say anything to anybody. Speak up. Speak loud. Say you're at the doctor's office and you need something, or at a medical facility, you need something. Don't whisper. Or what you're needing, you're not getting. Don't whisper. In your medical teams, and all patients, I encourage you all, please get yourself a medical team that includes doctors that you trust. Because if you don't trust those doctors, guess what? You're not going to do anything they tell you to do. Why? Because you don't trust them. Who does that hurt? That hurts patients. It hurts providers as well, especially those providers that care. But for those providers that don't care and are just in it for the money, the fact that you are at home stressing over something, they don't care. Why should they? You don't care. You didn't tell your story. So I'm not saying, and I'm not suggesting that you tell only the the bad stories, but come on, we have some beautiful doctors, a beautiful medical facility, some beautiful clinicians that will go that 110% of optimal. They'll do that. Why? Because they care. Why? Because they understand what a patient goes through. I have two of the very best. One's an acupuncturist, the other one's my primary doctor. I wouldn't trade them for anything in the world. Every time I'm asked to give a survey on services I receive from them, they get A plus 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 because they go that extra mile. And oh, I forgot, I have a third one, my endocrinologist. But if you're a patient and you don't have those providers on your medical team, you need to think about getting you another medical team, because your medical team needs to understand, and they need to show that they understand that you as a patient are the center of their care. You do a shared decision making, but you as a patient are the center of that care. They need to understand that. Engaging with them, letting them know that, letting them know when they're doing good, letting them know when they're doing bad. Maybe they've had an off day, and you're walking out of the office like, okay, that's not that doctor. They must be going through something. Bring it up. You now have electronic health record portals, the EHRS systems. Bring it up. But whatever you do not, and I repeat, I can't encourage you enough, do not be a patient that's not engaged, because when you are not engaged, you don't get the services that you deserve. When you're not engaged, things fly way over your head, which is what they're doing now. Walking around in circles, you have no idea what's going on. That's because you are not an engaged patient. We need more engaged patients. We need to build up that engagement, spot. We need to build up that engagement piece. We need to be at that table when policies and procedures are being written. And you know what? The one sure way that we can get there is we can get there by being engaged. Now, we can send one person or two persons, or maybe we get together and we all go to DC. We all go to wherever the capital is in the state that you're not getting the correct treatment or the most optimal treatment. We all go. But we got to start somewhere. So I'm starting, and I've started through the foundation, building up programs so that they can be offered to every patient, but especially to the underserved and the marginalized patient, where they can become engaged, educated, and empowered. Until next Wednesday, I hope everyone enjoys their day. Thank you and goodbye.